and she tells Meredith, I know you love McDreamy, but do not allow him. So hi you guys, welcome back to my channel. This is the Reddit Mess, where I read a bunch of Reddit stories and I give my unsolicited advice. I be so sick. There's some people where they do it in a respectable way, but then there's some people where they just have an attitude with it, where they're just like, I only came here just to listen to the story. Baby, this is not the Reading Rainbow. Like, if that's all that you want, then respectfully, you can go to the Reddit, like reddit.com, and I'm literally telling you the title. You can Google the title, and you can read it yourself. It's too easy peasy. So with that being said, I like to give my unsolicited advice. I like to give my take on it, because that, to me, is, I don't know. I also want to add my take on it, because I like to conversate. I like to add my little thoughts from the peanut gallery. That's me. So, yeah. Anyways, please don't forget to like and subscribe, you know, all that great stuff. And I think what I'm going to start doing in the beginning is, because I'm starting to get more people that send their stories, like their personal stories. So I'm going to start reading their personal stories first, and then we can get into like Reddit stories and stuff like that. We're still growing with this channel, okay? Okay. This person that wrote in, I actually messaged them back, because after I read everything, they didn't put a question. And I know sometimes people just want to vent and just kind of get things out there, but they're not looking for any opinions or any advice. So I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to maneuver this. I'm kind of waiting for them to respond back, like if they want me to go in depth about what I personally feel. But you'll see, I'll read the stories. So I am a 36 female. My husband is 32. We've been married since 2015, and we have 2 daughters. I also have 3 kids from a marriage beforehand. When him and I first got together, things were good. Things were fine. After I had my first daughter, we had a big fight. He was going to a friend's from work's house all the time. It was another female. She had a girlfriend. I didn't really have a problem with it until he lost his wedding ring. Around the same time, we both had Tumblr. He had been asking for dirty pictures from other females. We had an open phone policy, so I did look on his phone, and he had been talking to a few females in a sexual way, which wasn't okay. The night we had a fight, he left me. He walked away from me and our young daughter. She was about a year old. We made up, we tried and worked things out. We had another child, excuse me. We had fights and whatnot. I'm not going to say I'm innocent, because that's not true. I've tried hard to make things work too. Over the years, I went from talking to my friends to not. He broke me down. He hurt me in ways it's still hard for me to talk about. I cry, and I have a therapist that's helping me work it out. About a year ago, I found out that he was cheating on me again. That he was cheating on me for 2 years. I broke my leg. My dog had puppies. I broke my phone screen. I needed to use his call to get a replacement. I noticed that he had text messages that were more sexual that he didn't read yet. I took pictures of the numbers in the text. It was 3 different numbers. I couldn't process it right away. My brain couldn't handle it, so I got a replacement. My grandma died a couple of months later. I finally talked to the 2 people that he was cheating on me with. You see, it started on Discord. He brought me into the server. He told me that he couldn't have an orgasm with me anymore, that he didn't find me attractive. I talked to 2 other people. Come to find out, one lied and said they didn't do anything. The other said I was okay with it. Both of these guys had no clue that I was even a thing, or that he had kids or stepkids. Some of these things that still bug me is that he has now been out of the house since February. Last asked about the kids in April. I'm over it. I feel bad for my kids. They suffer. They ask about him. I have nothing for them. This has been bugging me, I guess. So as y'all can see, like, they really didn't ask a question, which kind of makes me hesitant to really try to give my thoughts on it, because I don't want to overstep my boundaries. Because, you know, some people, You know, like when you're talking to your friends, right? And like they're having a conversation with you, you have some people where they just want to be heard. They don't really want to input about what's going on with their life. You know what I'm trying to say? So it's like I'm trying to maneuver through this as much as I can. I did go ahead and write them back and ask them, was there something particular that they wanted to hear my thoughts on? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give out general information because I know this story could possibly resonate with someone else, i.e. like myself. I feel like what sucks the most about situations like this is when you're in your season. And I mean like the season where it just seems like everything is hitting you all at once. Where it's like back to back to back, it's nothing but negativity, it's nothing but bad news. And then to be in a relationship where you know you shouldn't be in a relationship, and you're in your season, and you've completely cut off cut off ties from your loved ones, i.e. your friends, i.e. your family, that is where toxicity thrives, especially in poor relationships, abusive relationships, emotional abusive relationships. You get the gist of what it is that I'm trying to say. That is where toxicity thrives the most because they don't want the person that's doing the abusing. They don't want you to be attached to your loved ones. They don't want your loved ones to have any commentary about your relationship because they fear that you're going to take their advice and ultimately leave. So that is where the abuser thrives the most, is when you are cut off away from your loved ones and no one is there to basically give you that advice and tell you, hey, this may not be a good idea. Hey, this person really isn't good for you. Hey, like, come home. They thrive on situations like this. The best advice that I can give anyone in any relationship is never lose yourself in that relationship. I have been doing, and this is going to come back. I know you're probably going to be like, girl, how did you even get on that topic of talking about Grey's Anatomy? It's going to come back full circle about this particular situation. I have been watching Grey's Anatomy, just like kind of reliving the moment, especially now that I'm a little bit older. I can understand some things. There is a scene in there, I don't know if I have any Grey's Anatomy fans, but there is a scene in there where Christina, right before she gets ready to leave, because she's done with the show, she tells Meredith, you are the son. Derek, McDreamy is not the son. You are the son. So do not allow what Derek says to eclipse what it is that you want to do. And I feel like that right there, that was a word. That right there was a word, because so much, especially women, we lose ourselves in the relationships that we get in all the time. All the time. You know, and for people like that lose themselves easily when they get into a relationship, you are the perfect target for someone that only wants to use you. The perfect target for someone that only wants to abuse you, to leech onto you and take everything that you have. If you have a power for light, they see that and they want to diminish it because they're not happy within themselves. And then if you stay in that relationship and you allow them to keep treating you the way that they've been treating you, of course they're going to keep doing the same things. Why would they change? You've already told them that you are perfectly okay with how they are treating you. Why would they change? You get what I'm trying to say? So I feel like the best thing that I can give to anyone, especially young women, do not lose yourself when you get into these new relationships. If you are the type of person, because this used to be me, I would go to the gym, and then when I would go into these relationships, I would kind of like falter off of my gym schedule. No, if you go to the gym, you keep going to the gym before and after that relationship, during that relationship. If you have girls' night every, Thursday, make sure you still keep with those relationships. Because I feel like a lot of women especially, a lot of people, but women especially, once they get into a relationship, they kind of put their friends on the back burner. And then when shit really goes down, their friends are nowhere to be found because they cut them off. And then when they get out of that relationship and they're down and out, they're going to need those friends. You know what I'm trying to say? The best thing that I can tell someone is, do not lose yourself in that relationship and do not change who you are to stay in that relationship. Do not change your schedule, your routine. That's what I'm trying to say. Don't change your routine once you get into that relationship. And I you know what? Because I can already see the comments. Well, you kind of have to be a little bit adaptable when you get into these relationships. Yes. But y'all know what I'm trying to say. Obviously, certain changes are going to happen when you get in a relationship, like going out partying or whatever. Y'all know what I'm trying to say. Don't be that person. Thank you very much. And another thing I also want to touch bases on, because I feel like this is pretty general as well. I think a lot of people kind of have the mindset where, oh, okay, if we have a kid, that's going to fix our problem. That does not fix the problem. If anything, that just creates more of a problem down the road, because then y'all really realize y'all not on the same page. Or, oh, if we get married, that's going to fix our problem. That's not going to fix the problem either, babe. If there was problems before y'all had the child, if there was problems before y'all got married, it's only going to amplify after the fact. Are y'all picking up what I'm putting down? So I feel like the best thing, and another thing, I feel like the best thing that I can say as well to that is do the work in your single stages. Like, put in the work, cater to yourself, love on yourself, go to therapy, figure out your toxic traits, how you can fix them, how you can adjust them. And then when you're ready to get into that relationship, your partner should have already done the work as well, so you guys can create something beautiful. And if your partner is only subpar and you can tell they have a lot of work that they need to do, you need to drop them like a bad habit. That's what I'm going to say about that. I'm going to get into the Reddit story. This is going to be the last story because I recognize I talked a lot during my advice session. So anyways, when I tell you I looked at this title and I did laugh. They said, I told I'm 35 female, husband 37 male, that we should get a divorce so he can marry his late wife's tombstone. That is so petty. So I, 35 female, married my husband 37 male 10 years ago. Prior to our relationship, he had been married for 2 years to Marissa, 22 female. Sadly, she had passed away because of ongoing health issues. I met my husband 5 years after her passing. At the beginning of our relationship, I had some issues with his romantic history. To put it bluntly, I was having trouble accepting my husband's past, and that he did not stop loving his late wife, but was forced to do so. I went to therapy for a year to treat that, and I managed to overcome this issue. My husband knew this and was very supportive of me and my treatment. I now like to say that Marissa and I would have been best friends. The issue, after 10 years of marriage, we have been having a lot of arguments, derived for bad communication. We just seem to blow off everything out of proportion. About 3 months ago, every time we had an argument, he takes the car and goes away for hours. When I asked where he was, he told me that he had went to see her, Marissa. Now, this is very weird from him because he at best visits Marissa's grave 3 times a year. I then asked him not to run away every time we fight and to please tell me when he goes to the cemetery so we can go together. He just brushed me off, excuse me. He has been doing this for months now, and it's destroying me. The feelings I fought the first year of our relationship are coming back. I am sad all the time, I cry at night, but my husband just keeps going away for hours. At this point, I think he's doing it out of spite more than anything else. Yesterday, I reached my limit. We fought over freaking trash. That's how petty our arguments are. He took the car at 4 p.m. and returned at 11 p.m. I was waiting for him at the dining room table. The combo went like this. Me. Where were you? Husband. I visited her again. Me. I've told you multiple times now how your actions hurt me and you continue to do them. Husband. You can't stop me from going. Me. Well, we can get a divorce. That way you can marry Marissa's tombstone. I'm sorry. Being that you care more about her than our marriage. I could see the shock in his face when I said that. I apologized immediately, but I think he did not hear me. I saw how he started crying. He had been locked in his office since yesterday and refuses to get out. I feel like the biggest asshole ever. What I said was a low blow and something horrible. I attacked him where I knew he was going to hurt, but at the same time, a part of me thinks that what he is feeling right now is just a fraction of what he has put me through for months. I literally made a vow to Marissa the day I got engaged. I told her, you can take care of him from heaven and I will take care of him on earth. I broke that vow. Is there any way that I can salvage this relationship? There's an edit where they say 3 months ago we found out that I am pregnant. After 8 years of trying, he has been visibly stressed and reactive since the discovery, even though we both wished for a baby. That's a lot to process. Like, I'm really trying to put myself in the shoes of this woman, and then I'm trying to think about it from the male's perspective. On a positive note, I think that's great that before they actually proceeded forward in the relationship, she took some time to go to therapy to work through her feelings about Marissa, because ultimately she's gone. From the male's perspective, outside looking in, and I've seen this conversation on TikTok a lot, and y'all can let me know if y'all have seen it, where there's a discussion amongst men where they're like, men never really marry the person that they really truly wanted. They kind of like settle for the next person because the person that they settle with just so happens to be there whenever they're ready to get married. I feel like Marissa was his soulmate. That's the vibe that I'm getting. That everything just aligned when it was supposed to align. Like, that was the person that he genuinely loved and he was ready, she was ready. Like, everything was just perfect. I feel like that was his soulmate. And then the person that's making this post is just a person that he just kind of stumbled upon after the fact. And granted, she didn't mention it, so I don't know if he did, but I feel like he also should be in therapy as well to work out his feelings. Because this is what I'm looking at. She did her part. She made peace with it. She's okay with him going to the cemetery to go see Marissa, all that jazz. But the problem comes in at the fact that every time they argue, he is going to the cemetery to go spend time with his wife that has passed, instead of being at home with a wife that's still alive, that's still kicking amongst the living, to work out their differences. And at that moment in time, I would be feeling like, damn, how do I compete with this? Marissa, you still are so attentive to Marissa. You still have something with Marissa that honestly, you and I would never have. Ooh. And then in regards to the kid thing, I'm glad she brought that up, because in my mind, the vibe that I'm getting here is the reason why he's not happy that she's having a baby is because it's not with his ex-spouse, the deceased spouse. I think he wants a baby. I just don't think he wanted the baby with her. Let me know what y'all think. Anyways, there was an update. Before the update, I wanted to clarify something. I was only jealous of Marissa in the first year of our relationship. But as I said, I worked through it in therapy. Throughout my relationship with my husband, I've hosted dinners in her honor, ordered embellishments for her grave, pushed my husband to reconnect with his former in-laws, and I even placed her in my altar of Dia de Muertos alongside my family members. I consider her a friend, and even if I never met her. The update. We agreed on temporary separation, since we still don't know how we're going to co-parent and stuff like that. Shortly after my post, he came out of his office. I made us both dinner and we talked for what it feels like the first time in months. First, I had apologized by what I had said, but I told him that the point still stands. I then asked him if he truly goes and sits at her grave for hours. He said that he does not. Turns out, he sits at her grave for an hour at max and then goes on a tour around the city visiting their favorite places. He goes to restaurants and asks for her favorite dishes, drives around her favorite spots in the city. I then asked him why. Why was he doing it now that we found out I was pregnant after so much trying? He said that he could not avoid thinking about what it would have been to raise a child with Marissa and about how many things he missed experiencing with her. He did say that he did not regret our relationship, which makes it better, I guess. I told you. What did I say? Told y'all. I also asked if I failed him in any way. Was I a bad wife? A bad friend? Did I fail to fulfill his needs? He said that I just wasn't her. Honestly, I think I'd rather have someone punch me than him telling me that. Finally, I asked him, when is he starting therapy? He responded that very soon because he wanted to be a good father. I said, fine, because I don't want someone around my child who grieves an imaginary child in an imaginary life. Ooh, when he has a living and breathing family. That's all I think. He's moved to his parents' house the same night. Her mother did call me to tell me that she and my father-in-law chewed him out for what he did. I thanked them and told them I'm still very interested in them having a relationship with my child, and they should not pay for their son's mistake. I also visited Marissa. I apologized for breaking my vow, but that I hope that she's able to watch over her husband and to help him through this therapy. So there is one more update. I gave birth to my son a bit over a month ago. He is the most beautiful baby ever. I love him more than anything. I've also been going to therapy myself, and it's been great. Overall, life has been kind of dreamy. It doesn't seem real. Anyway, since everyone here was so helpful last time, I figured I would ask you for advice in this situation. After our separation, my husband started therapy. He was diagnosed with depression and is on meds. He also started to attend a grief supporting group. Since all of this happened, he's changed so much. He's like a different person. During all of my pregnancy, he's been so supportive, helpful, and respectful of my boundaries. He's also very apologetic and asked for forgiveness for everything he put me through this last year. I've also attended various of his therapy sessions apart from marital counseling. That helped me understand the immense grief he's been carrying apart from his own mental health issues, and how all of it became exacerbated with the arrival of our baby. The last 3 months of pregnancy were really bad. The doctor advised me to move as little as possible. My husband offered to be my live-in nurse, and I accepted. So we've been living together for the past 4 months. Of course, we sleep in different rooms. He's been so great with me. We've had so many amazing conversations, and we're just wonderful again together. I feel like I regained my husband, and that the person I married is here again. After putting the baby to sleep yesterday, we had a conversation. He told me that he thinks he's ready to rekindle our relationship and asked me for a second chance. He told me that he would do anything he can to be deserving of a second chance. I honestly don't know what to do. Like the past year, I watched him try to better himself and succeed at it. He's also been so kind to me and is great with our son, but I also know that he's in a pretty vulnerable state right now, and I really don't know if I would be able to pick up our relationship where it ended. I don't know what I should do. Should I give it a try? Ooh. Honestly, that's hard. At the end of the day, it really doesn't matter what anyone else has to say about it. It matters how she feels about it. Only she would really be able to say, like, is she okay moving forward in that relationship? I think that's great that, he started going to therapy and they took some time apart to really think about what it is they want. But I'm not gonna lie, what still rings in my ear was the conversation that they had right before they got separated, and she was just like, why are you doing this now? Why now? Why after I got pregnant? And then his comment was, honestly, you're just not her. That would have killed me. But I feel like a part of her knew that. She had to have known that, which is why she said what she said. But me personally, I think I would always be living in the shadow of his deceased spouse, thinking, God, how am I going to fill in these shoes that she left? Because in my mind, I would take it that I'm never going to be good enough. You're over here, you visit her grave for an hour, and you're going over here trying all the stuff that she wanted to try, all her favorite desserts, thinking about what life would be with her, and you have a whole wife at home that's pregnant. That would kill me. But I mean, at the end of the day, they're both getting counseling. I really truly feel like no one could really answer that besides her. I mean, but she's already stated that he's in a vulnerable state. Maybe just kind of give it some more time, let things marinate so he can really figure out what is it that he's really wanting. Is he really ready to move on? Because from the sounds of it, they really honestly shouldn't have been married. And that's a messed up thing to say, but honestly, truly, because he really needs to do that self-help prior to getting into another relationship to make sure that he was really over it. So me personally, I would just sit on it and give it a little bit more time, since how she's acknowledging that he's still in a vulnerable state, just to make sure this is really what he wants, and just to make sure that they're both doing it for the right reasons. It sounds like they can both be great parents, even if they do get a divorce. So hopefully that isn't a factor in her mind, is in regards to how she makes her decision. But y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments, for real.